Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a palette showdown. So I'm going to be comparing 4 palettes that are all super similar, and the idea for this came about when I picked up the new Huda Beauty Coral Obsessions palette. When I opened this up and took a look at it, I thought it looked just like a few other palettes that I had. So I went and compared them. I did some swatches. I posted them on Instagram, but I know a lot of you guys don't follow me over there. So I wanted to do a video like this, and also I want to do some more videos that are along the same lines as this, because the makeup industry has been cranking out new releases like crazy, and there's bound to be some overlap after a while. And I know when a new palette like this Huda Obsessions comes out, you see it online, you don't necessarily think right away that it's like something you already have, and you just get caught up in the hype and you buy the palette, and then you get it home and realize, wait a second, this looks just like something I already have, and it makes the same kind of looks. So basically this idea for a video is to help you not waste your money and get caught up in that hype, and show you what you might have in your collection that is already similar. So I'm going to show you the 4 palettes side by side, then I'll do some comparison swatching so you can really get a good idea of, you know, what the formulas are like and how they differ. So anyway, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so here are the 4 palettes, and you can see that they're all super similar. They have a lot of warm tones, they have reds and warm browns, some orange, and also each one has that pop of yellow. So let's start with the Huda Beauty Coral Obsessions palette. This one is $27 for 9 shades. Then you have the Colourpop Yes Please palette. It's 12 shades for $16. The Maybelline Lemonade Craze palette is $10.98 for 12 shades. And the Bad Habit Solstice palette is $16 for 15 shades. Solstice palette is also an exact dupe for the Natasha Denona Sunset palette, which is another one I thought of when I saw the Coral Obsessions. I don't have that one, unfortunately, but at least I'll be able to show you if there are any color dupes between them. So if you have the Natasha Denona Sunset palette, then you can decide whether it's similar enough to Coral Obsessions that you can skip that one. But again, this Bad Habit one is not going to be a formula dupe for the Natasha Denona. So now let's go ahead and get into some swatches. And before I show you the full sets of swatches, I just wanted to do some quick live swatches, and I'll show you one of the matte shades from each palette, and then I'll show you one of the shimmer shades from each palette, so you can actually see them going on and get an idea of what the formula is like with each palette. Then I'll just show you a photo, you know, 4 side by sides of each one, so you can really see how similar they are all in one shot. Okay, so I'm going to start with swatching the yellow shades from each palette. So first let's do the Huda Beauty Coral Obsessions. So the Huda formula is a denser, drier formula than the others. It picks up really nicely with a brush, but in a swatch it goes on just slightly patchy. But because of the drier, denser formula, it also doesn't have a ton of fallout, so that's one positive aspect. And then next we have the yellow shade from the Colourpop Yes Please palette. This one is a little bit softer, not quite as dry feeling as the Huda. It has a tiny bit of powder kick up, but not much. I think the Colourpop formula is a happy medium between being too soft and powdery or too dense and dry. So I really like Colourpop's formula a lot. And then next we have the yellow from the Bad Habit Solstice palette. It is softer than the Colourpop, so you're gonna get a lot of fallout in that one, but swatch-wise, I think it definitely swatches nicely, but when you apply it to the eyes, you are gonna have more fallout, and it's gonna blend away a little bit easier than the Colourpop or the Huda Beauty, so just keep that in mind. And then lastly, let's swatch the yellow from the Lemonade Craze palette from Maybelline. Again, this swatch, as you can see, it looks super silky on the skin, but it is super powdery. It's the most powdery and soft formula of the 4 palettes. So when you're applying it to your eyes, you're gonna get more of a sheer wash of color, and as you blend, it's gonna blend away, which if you want more of a bolder impact, you're gonna have to apply more. So basically, I just applied these in order of density, with the densest one being the Huda formula over here, and then the softest, most powdery formula being the Maybelline on that side. So it really depends a lot on your preference. I would say that the Colourpop is a really good happy medium though, if you don't like a formula that's too dense or too soft. Okay, now let's do a shimmer shade from each palette, starting with Huda Beauty. This one is super rich and buttery. I really, really like the formula of the shimmers in this particular palette. Sometimes the Huda palettes have those really super chunky, glittery shades, but in the Coral Obsessions palette, the two shimmers that are actually in there are very buttery and smooth. And then next up is the Colourpop Yes Please palette. I mean, for the price, that one is even softer and smoother and more buttery than the Huda one. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, so regardless of price, this is definitely a superior formula, in my opinion. It's just gorgeous. The Bad Habit Solstice palette also has incredibly buttery shimmer shades, but there is a bit more fallout with those than with the Huda Beauty, so just keep that in mind. You can see there was a little bit of crumbliness there as I swatched. And then the Maybelline Lemonade Craze palette. The shimmers in here are also very, very smooth, very pigmented. Not quite as pigmented though as the others, and it has a little bit of a different texture. The other three felt very buttery and creamy almost, while the Maybelline one feels more smooth and silky and a little bit lighter. So let's go ahead now and show you comparison swatches of all four side by side. I think you're gonna be pretty surprised. So looking at these palettes side by side, you can really get a great idea of how close they are as far as the colors go. The Huda Beauty Coral Obsessions, the Yes Please from Colourpop, and the Bad Habit Solstice palette are all extremely similar when swatched on the skin, and also when applied to the eyes, you can get pretty much the same looks out of them. The Maybelline Lemonade Craze palette is slightly different. It's a little bit off from the others. It's not as rich in tone. It's a little bit lighter overall. So I think maybe if you don't want those super bold looks that you can get with the other palettes and want sort of sheerer washes of warm tones, the Maybelline palette might be a good one for you. So now that you've seen comparisons of all four palettes, you're probably wondering which one is my favorite, and that would definitely be, without question, the Colourpop Yes Please palette. I think it is an amazing price for what you're getting. I think the formula is awesome. It feels like high-end, and I do prefer it slightly over the Huda Beauty formula because even though it's softer and has a little bit more fallout, it's not enough to make me feel like it's annoying and there's product falling all over my face all day. I think it's the perfect balance between being too powdery, which I feel like the Maybelline one is, and too dense and firm like the Huda Beauty. So the Colourpop one definitely gets my vote. But I also do like the Bad Habit one, even though it's a little bit more powdery, there's a little bit more fallout. It's the same price as the Colourpop palette and you get a few more shadows. And I think the formula is close to the Colourpop one, but I still prefer the Colourpop a little bit more. Alrighty guys, that does it for today's video. I hope you liked this palette showdown. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and also let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more palette showdowns. I'm always discovering new dupes in my collection and I love to share them with you, so if that's something you like watching, definitely let me know. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.